Another way to represent data is what's called a two-way table, in which you have rows going across and columns coming down. Each row represents a different category, and each column represents a different category. In this two-way table, we have a class on the left, either the freshman or sophomore class, and the columns going down vertically is a question on whether they have mobile access, either yes or no. In this two-way table, this 55 represent that there's 55 freshmen that yes, they have mobile access, and there's 22 freshmen, no, they do not have mobile access. And likewise, there are 63 sophomores that have mobile access, and 12 sophomores that do not have mobile access. Using the four numbers inside the two-way table, you can come up with totals on the outside. The 118 is a sum of 55 and 63. 118 represents the total number of people that have mobile access, and the 34 represents 34 people that do not have mobile access. Going across the rows, the 77, and again the addition of 55 and 22, 77 represents 77 freshmen, and 75, adding the 63 and 12, represent 75 sophomores. This bottom corner, you can either add 118 and 34 to get 152, or you can also add 77 and 75 to get 152, and the total represents the total number of people, in this case 152 students. That is the total of freshmen and sophomore, or the total of people that said yes and no to mobile access, but there's 152 people in the survey. Title of the next section is two-way tables. Two-way tables again have rows going across and columns vertical. In this two-way table, some of the information is given, and we need to fill in the missing number with the given information. On this table, the rows going across, sport, either yes or no. The individual that answered yes, they play a sport, or no, they do not. And a instrument is our columns. Yes, they play an instrument, or no, they do not. The numbers given, 64. 64 people said yes, they play a sport and they play an instrument. 93 people said no, they do not play a sport, and no, they do not play an instrument. The total number of yeses for a sport, or 118. And this bottom right corner, 286, represents 286 people that were surveyed in this survey. To solve the question, we need to fill in the missing numbers. The first number we can fill in is the total number of no's. If we know the total number of people, that's 286, and there's 118 people that said yes, we can find out how many people said no by subtracting the total minus the yeses. 286 subtract off 118 would leave us with 168. 168 people said no, they do not play a sport. Add that to 118 that said yes, that'll give us the total number of people, that is 286. We can also fill in the number of no's for an instrument. If 64 said yes, the missing number that said no to the instrument, the total has to be 118. So 64 plus this number has to add up to 118, or vice versa, 118 subtracted 64 would be 54. 54 people said no, they do not play an instrument, but they said yes, they play a sport. Once we have these two numbers for the no, we can add those together for a total, and that total would be 147. For the remaining boxes, the number of people that said yes, they play an instrument, and no, they did not play a sport, will be the difference between the total number of no's. 168 people said no, they did not play a sport. 93 of them said no, they did not play an instrument. So again, subtracting 168 minus 93 will give us our next number, which is 75. For our last number, the total, we can either add up the yeses, or we could also subtract these numbers to get the same value. 64 plus 75 would be 139. And if you want to check your answer, 139 plus 147 should be 286. All the numbers going across should add up, and all the numbers going vertical in columns should add up also.